Hey, this is Derek Jordan. Welcome to the World Fusion Show, where we bring you the leading innovators in world fusion music. Today, my guest is Frevo, who are a chamber group quartet from northern Vermont, and it's a group of mixed strings and winds. And they have performed a number of my pieces, and they'll be doing them today on the show. So welcome, Frevo, to the World Fusion Show.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
So we're joined today by Steve Klimowski and Peter Matthews, two of the members, the male portion of the group. And I just wanted to thank you so much for coming and being with us.
It's
really great. Thanks. So how did you guys get together? What brought you together and got you going?
I performed a lot with the VCME and worked with Steve in that group, and my wife's a flutist, and so of course he evolved to where, well, we have two couples here, we both play and both couples play, and so I guess we decided to join forces soon after a few years ago.
Yeah. Peter was having me up at his school where he teaches, and I was sort of a guest artist that came up to help the kids, and we started playing together, and we said, hey, we got to do this more.
That's working, right?
That's right. It's working.
That's great. So what is your vision for your music, what you're trying to bring to people through your music?
Chime in anytime, but we just love all sorts of music. Now, I run the Vermont Contemporary Music Ensemble, where we specialize in brand new music. Mm-hmm. But it's wonderful just to do pop music, do world music, do everything really, because there's great music out there, and it's not limited to one genre. So we sort of take that genre-less path, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys are, Steve, you're into the Beatles. Like I am.
Well, he is.
Well, and you guys too, both of you, right?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So, and of course, I'm a huge fan. It's basically the reason I'm a musician at all.
Yeah.
And started learning how to write songs and inspired by them when I was a youngster. But you also do a lot of Beatles material in your group and perform that.
Yes, we do.
Well, yeah, back up to the first question you asked Steve about, being a classical guitarist, it's a challenge to find music that's written for the quartet of this type of instruments.
Yeah.
So the challenge is to arrange it, to make it work with classical guitar and a cello and a clarinet, flute, So the Beatle music is like, try to take it and try not to just play the Beatle music, but try to arrange it in a way that makes it work.
Yeah.
In a more substantial way.
Yeah.
But
that's great. Well, I would like to go to our first video.
Let's go.
And it's not a Beatles song. It's in fact a song tune that I wrote from my Brazilian CD. But we have our own original arrangement of this, and the song is called "Dream of Bahia." right, we're back with Frevo and Steve Klimowski and Peter Matthews. And so you guys are from have classical backgrounds.
Basically.
So what was it like growing up in your household? Did you have music? Your parents, did they play music? Did they encourage you to play music?
My parents encouraged me, to be sure, but I wouldn't call them musical. I grew up on your 1950s Broadway shows, basically, which my dad loved. They were in the New York area when they were newlyweds, so they went to a lot of shows, and so he loved that. So I grew up listening to that as background music.
What shows would you love?
Oh, My Fair Lady, Gigi, South Pacific, all that stuff.
Yeah. That's great. What about you, Peter?
Well, my dad was a music teacher in northern Vermont. I have a brother, an awesome bassist, who inspired me to get involved with strings. I was a trumpet player, still play trumpet, but I started as a brass player. But then the Beatles is what pulled me towards the guitar.
Yeah.
And then I have a sister who's an awesome pianist. So music was in the house for the most part, but we all do our different things, and so. I gravitated towards the guitar and Beatles and King Crimson.
King Crimson, right.
You got, it just kind of evolved. Yes.
Yes, it was a cool band, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. So you have traveled a bit, and I think you met Bonnie in Mexico.
I did.
Right, your wife, who's the cellist in the group. And so tell me about what that was like. You were playing in a Mexican orchestra.
Yes, it was a symphonic orchestra, the Orquesta Sinfónica del Estado de Mexico, conducted at the time by Enrique Batis. And I auditioned for him in New York and won the audition, and this is right out of college. And I went down in May of 77. Bonnie came down the following September. I did not know her. She came from Vermont. And so... but she won an audition and she came down. It was both of our first gigs. And so I just, I'm looking across the orchestra and there was this gorgeous cellist. And I said, gee, I got to meet her. And she spoke English. So.
Even better. That's
and
right.
the rest is history, so they say.
That's very true. So what attracted you to world music? And do you have any favorite world music artists that you listen to?
Well, I'm a big fan of Egberto Gismonti.
Ah, yes.
Big fan of his. Ever since I heard him, I heard a recording in early college years, and I never forgot it. And to this day, it's like he just fascinates me.
Have you seen him perform?
Not live, no.
No, I haven't either. But I love his music. He's one of my top favorite musicians.
Yeah.
He's a giant.
Yeah, he really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish more people knew about him here.
Right.
But
it's amazing.
Yeah. It's really great. So I would love to go to our second video.
Okay.
Speaking of Brazilian inspirational musicians, this is another piece of mine, and this one is called Everyone Loves Brazil. we are back with Frevo, and we're going to just continue on our merry way as we go on the show. So, you know, Peter, I know you write original music for the group, right? Yeah. So tell us about that process.
Well, you know, being a guitar player, I pull from sources. I don't consider myself a serious classical composer type per se, because I feel more like I'm going to pull different sources that the guitar is akin to. As I mentioned, King Crimson, or, you know, the guitar has the Maverick, right? I mean, it goes to all different areas. So I try to pull these ideas from different places and then try to incorporate it to fit the quartet.
Yeah.
So if it does tap into a more classical vein, that's great, but many times it's just so bizarre. You know, Bill Bruford is a major influence in his composition. So I have to admit, a lot of that exposure to that is an influence. So
yeah. So are there classical composers that you're influenced by as well?
Well, Bach.
Yeah. Everyone loves Bach.
It's like, you know, Bach is the mainstay that keeps all the technique and the mind together.
Just phenomenal.
There's many. I can't even. Bartok and Stravinsky. And, I don't know.
Yeah. Steve, what about you? Are there other classical? I know you've played a lot of classical music.
Played a lot of classical in orchestra, and I love the three Bs, certainly. I told you my Mahler second story, which really changed my life.
Right.
When I finally, Mahler Second Symphony, and I won't go into it now because it's too long a story, the Resurrection Symphony. But that was just...
opened things up.
Opened things up entirely, and that's when I knew I had to be a musician. So that's my background.
Yeah.
I played some in the jazz band in high school and loved it. Played saxophone mostly, but and you know, so but mostly classical. You know, playing in symphony orchestras, chamber music, and that sort of stuff. But you know, like I said, there's an essence to all music.
Yes.
And there's great music in all genres.
For sure.
And certainly the world music, you know, sort of takes the essence, sort of takes the greatness of the music, or else it wouldn't last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like folk music, you know.
That's right.
And so that's why I love the world music, because you're getting sort of the best of the best.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
All different flavors.
All different flavors. Yeah, it's wonderful.
So you are also now have a new job as a choral director, and tell us what that's like for you.
Well, this has been fairly recent. I've been taking some choral training the last 10 years or so down at Westminster Choir College and a summer in Oxford, studying with some very, very fine teachers. And choral music can be some of the most powerful music written. I mean, it's so it's a whole different thing for me. I'm currently conducting the Vermont Choral Union, which is, you know, one of the top choirs in Vermont. So I'm honored to be doing that. It's wonderful.
Great, fantastic. So I would love to go to our third video.
Let's go.
This is another piece of mine, and this one is called Timbuktu, and it's basically inspired by West African music. And you can hear I'm not utilizing traditional themes in my music. I'm inspired, I listen to a lot, I'm inspired by that music, and then I come up with my own material based on that.
Yeah.
So let's go to this video now.
Now, Derek, I think you imitate some African instruments in this one?
Yes, actually we do. Well, the ngoni, and so there are a few kind of things that are coming across, but a few other things that I threw in there, like when Bonnie's playing the seagulls on the cello and things like that.
That's right.
It's cool. A lot of fun. Anyway, let's go to Timbuktu right now. right, we are back with Frevo.
Boy, is that a cool piece or not? I mean, that's wonderful.
You like that one? That's
oh,
good.
Very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed
Yeah.
writing it. I wanted to just say thank you so much for joining us today on the World Fusion Show. It's really been a pleasure to have you guys.
Been an honor to be here.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much. Hey, this is Derek Jordan. Thank you for joining us today on the World Fusion Show. We have lots of great shows coming up, so please stay tuned. And, go to Facebook and follow us, YouTube, subscribe to our channel, go to our podcasts on iTunes and SoundCloud. And remember, think globally, listen locally, and support independent music.